everybody. I'm
He's
Shane.
Stump and I'm the Chump. Shane and Lex. That's going to be a fun one today.
Yeah, I guess we like the rhyme. I don't know. Stump the Chump is really just ask any question related to PDQ that you want. Of course, we have to say related to PDQ.
Yeah, that's a good point, yeah.
We'll start getting everything. But I looked at some of the questions on the way in. I said, looks like some of these are thinly veiled feature requests.
Feature requests, yeah. Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, let's jump on them, see what we can see if we can help you out.
Okay.
Okay, I don't know. What's the first question, man?
How do I alphabetize my list of custom collections in PDQ Inventory? Matt H.
Hey, Matt.
Hey, man.
Let's open up. Okay, so when you want to alphabetize this, we made it so that the very top level collections are kind of you can arrange them the way you want. This damn thing keeps on popping out. You can arrange them the way you want. It's once you get into the sub collections that you can sort alphabetically. So if you want, so basically I'll show you how to do this. But the top level can get out of sync. Like I could take memory here and move it over here after O, and all as well. If let's come in, let's just see if I can find internet. I don't know, workstations. Yeah, that's not a good one.
That's not a good one.
Let's do Office here. That's also not a good
one. Next.
Yeah.
Here we go. Yeah.
No, we'll figure this out. Yeah, within your, please, I just have all these. I'm gonna create one in here. Just a new dynamic report, a new dynamic collection. Hello. All right. So by default, things are going to get alphabetized. If they start to get unalphabetized, you can go to the top level, but once again, you can't do this at the very, very top level because that's meant to be, you can arrange these the way you want. But you can go to the top level, right-click on that, and this is respective to any, whatever's right below that you want to sort, and just select auto sort. And then that will take those and move them down.
Alphabetize them.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So you just go to the level right above it. Once again, this top level, these are meant really so that we have so many customers that say, well, let's see, for servers, I want item appearance to be different. I want to display this, the servers as a section header, maybe change the icon, stuff like that, and I want to move these up top. So really, that's, that's your section header. Yeah. So once you break underneath that top level, then you can use the auto sort. Remember, when you auto sort, it's the level just above that you want to sort.
Yep.
Hopefully that answers the question.
I'll drink to that.
Lex turns everything into a drinking game.
You'll drink to anything. It goes without saying.
Yes, I will drink to anything. Just about.
David H. Can PDQ or can Deploy notify me if there is an update to a package I previously downloaded? No. Next question. No. No. So here's the thing. When by download, the term is import. I'm assuming that's what you mean. So package library. Let's come over here. Look, we have some updated packages.
Right behind my chest, JJ.
Yeah, if you can. I'm looking in the package library, but at the updated packages. So there's 11 updates since we last did anything with this. Let's say I want to grab Dropbox and import that or download it. So if the way we built this, the next version of Dropbox is going to be, hopefully the version will increment. If it doesn't, let's say that we screwed up and we have to which has only happened a few times, honestly.
Us screwing up? That never happens.
By we, I mean Lex. So we screw up, or the vendor does, and reissues the exact same version. So I've already imported this. Let's say that another version of 3.14.7 we make available. No, you cannot get notified of that because the way the package library works, it looks at the application name and it looks at the version. Yeah. People have asked us before, what is this version for? If you open up, go to package properties, you see the version. They're saying, hey, can we populate that with our custom packages? Of course you can. However, it's not really used by anything except for the package library and auto deployments. So if 3.14 version 8 comes out, then you can get notified. And as far as how do you get notified by that, obviously you'll see the zoom out there, JJ.
And make me disappear, buddy.
you'll see the little icon there. There's also, if you go to go to support.adminarsenal.com, anytime we publish a new, go to forums. I highly recommend, if you haven't, that you become a member of the forums. Under PDQ Deploy package library, anytime there's a new package,
We post it
we
up.
post it here. So basically,
Subscribe to that
yeah,
one.
subscribe to this and you'll get an email. Some people have set it up with RSS or you know, whatever you want, to get notified as these new packages become available. And then there's also a Reddit page. If you, JJ, if you want to post that on the chat or something like that, there's also a subreddit.
Yeah.
There's a number of ways to do it, but once again, the same version, not really. But then again, that is also extremely rare that is changed. I mean, it's like 3 times that I can think of. Okay, next question.
Yep, bring it. Hey, you're going to
I'm
drink.
not going
this.
to drink
You're
after
drinking
every
this
question,
one. No,
dude.
come on. You got to drink with me on this one. That was a great question. Game on, everybody.
Damn, this guy sucks. Okay. In PDQ Inventory, is it possible to create a dynamic collection of computers that have Windows Management Framework installed? And if so, what version? From Chase. Hey, Chase. Okay. So WMF, fairly correlated with PowerShell.
Yep.
Okay. So we don't natively track WMF or PowerShell versions, but you can use a custom scanner for that. If you haven't created a custom scanner, I believe it's, I'm going to go to I'm going to go to the registry. When I say custom scanners, we have 2 different custom scanners. There's a file scanner and a registry scanner. In the registry scanner, I believe it's HKey local machine software, Microsoft, I think it's just PowerShell.
I think so.
Yeah, PowerShell. So you can come over here to PowerShell and look for, I believe it's the PowerShell version is going to be, yeah, under PowerShell engine, you'll see a PowerShell version right there. And you can grab that.
Yep.
Sometimes you'll have multiple keys here. So if you want me to hurry and show this real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so let's see if we can't do this. So here's how you create a custom scanner, but then you're going to have to track this in the collection to answer your question. So we know the path. All right, let's see how fast I can do this. I'm going to go to Scan Profiles.
Works better in
I'm going
inventory.
to go to Inventory.
Inventory, yeah.
I've already been stumped. Whew.
Again, I'll drink to that. It's going to be a long day.
I suck. How do you deal with it? How have you gotten so used to it? All right,
Liquor.
Scan Profiles. So you can add to an existing profile, or in fact, I'm just going to add it to applications. Why not? Instead of creating a new one. Add
Registry scan.
registry, HKey local machine, software, Microsoft, PowerShell.
Now, Shane, question for you. Is it case sensitive?
No.
Okay.
I think it's PowerShell engine, we can do that. We could even, generally when you're doing these, you want to make these as
Exact
as you can. I mean, otherwise you can get a lot of information. PowerShell, it's PowerShell engine, right? No, it's not. It's not case sensitive. We're not going to include the subtree. I don't think we need to since it's in PowerShell engine. Yeah,
Pop
it's
the registry, yeah.
PowerShell engine or PowerShell version.
PowerShell 1, PowerShell engine.
You're right. You know what? So thank you very much for calling that out.
Got to put a 1 in there.
So I'm going to actually come back over here to applications and I'm going to modify this. And I'm going to say, just go to PowerShell. No, you don't want to do 1 because you can have multiple
Oh,
versions.
okay. So we got PowerShell.
So now we are
and
going to include the
subtree.
subtree. Yeah, you can have like 1, 3, 5.
That's a
whatever.
good point.
So say OK to that. Now, anytime you create a custom scan profile, you need to scan those computers. So we will just quickly scan all of our computers with that scan profile that we just modified, applications. I went to collection, by the way, to do that. And then while we're doing that, let's create a report, basic. I know you said collection, but I'm going to show you report.
And then we'll convert the report to a collection when we're done.
I'm going to show us the computer. Let's go to registry. Boom, 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 boom. Is it too wide?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make that little. Value name and value. Okay, so we'll do that. And then filters, we're going to say Oops. In the field, we're going to say registry. And we'll just try to make this fairly simple. The registry, the value name is PowerShell version, I believe. Now we'll find out for sure. And I'll spell that correctly 1 second. Yeah, PowerShell version.
So you've been taking typing lessons the same place I do.
Okay. Perfect. Now, because there's going to be multiple, let's just run this and see what we do. So once again, PowerShell and WMF, if you see a PowerShell version 4, it's usually correlated with WMF. That's my understanding. There might be a better way to do this, but this is kind of how I've done it in the past.
Quick and dirty. Yeah, it works.
All right, so you see some computers are listed twice, 2, 3. So what you want to do is let's just grab the last key for each one. So we're going to go back to define report, columns, and on the, I'm actually going to delete the registry path. We don't need to show that one.
Yeah, we already know that. Go filter it for like version 3 or 4.
Actually, you know what? I do want the path in there. No, we'll just do registry value. We'll do the last. So summary, show us the last. That should take care of it. And that's a way that you can do this to say, okay, now I know that Abraham has 2, Bunker has 3, Cyclops 4, etc. And then you asked about creating a collection. Just come over here to new collection from report, PowerShell, and we can call this WMF versions, sort of. And yeah, and of course, you always need to verify that
your findings on that. Yeah.
And then of course you can create your collections to say version 2, version 3, version 4, those that have a higher than version whatever. Just make sure when you use the version comparison.
Yep.
All right, next question.
Can you guys add custom icons?
Hold up.
Okay.
And Lisa's like, no, not that one. Oh, it's from last webcast, apparently.
Yeah, I was going to say that one looks familiar.
Yeah.
Windows 10 pre-built or built-in apps give us a headache. I'm sorry.
Me too.
And we are now
Sorry,
using
it's the
PowerShell
truth.
scripts to manage them. Does admin arsenal have any prospects for future releases of PDQ Deploy to easily install and uninstall Win 10 built-in apps? Yes, we do have some plans.
Is this one of those thinly veiled feature requests?
Yes,
This is a
but that actually that's on the thinly veiled.
Oh, this is already on the.
The thinly veiled is how do you do this for a feature that doesn't exist? This does PDQ so Taiju, is that Finland?
roll with
No,
it.
that's
Just roll with it. You're gonna butcher it either
No,
way.
he's asking if it's.
It's Finnish.
Yeah.
Finish.
I've got some Finnish friends. I recognize. So anyway, does admin arsenal have any prospects for future releases? The answer is yes. Now, when
Kinda
Windows
depends,
8
doesn't it?
When Windows
Yeah.
8 came out, we kind of thought let's check to see how this works, and it just never took off in the enterprise.
Yeah.
Never took off in business. Microsoft is releasing a business version of the App Store. So if we do this, we're looking into it.
Yeah.
And if we do, it would be related to the business store, not to the regular consumer store. All right.
Cool. All right. Next. You should drink to that, Shane.
You should drink to that.
I've already been drinking to that. All right. PDQ inventory question. Is there a way to see what network printers have been added for a particular user on a particular computer? We don't collect user data, do we?
No, we don't, and that's we do have if you're in inventory. Looks like
If you're in inventory, you can go and see. We do collect the last log on, but that's about the extent.
yeah, well, yeah. If you were, I'm just going to grab Bateman here. Yes, we do have. If you notice, we've got a printers. There we go. Printers local. We changed that to local a while ago because the printers that we grab are local. Either they've got a USB cable running to them or they have a local port defined. For print servers, we don't track that because almost all print servers are tracked per user. Inventory is largely based on, almost
Hardware.
exclusively based on per computer. So yes, the answer is no. The answer is no, unless if you have a printer that is defined per system, which you actually have to explicitly try to do, then you could use like a registry scanner, most likely, to find that. And of course, if you have your printers defined, if you map a local IP port, but most admins don't do that. They use print servers.
Yeah, I was
so
gonna say, it just becomes a confused mess. So.
yeah, it really does. So the answer really is no.
When I deploy Firefox, I know I can put 32-bit on a 32-bit and a 64-bit machine. What difference will I get putting a 64-bit Firefox on a 64-bit machine? Take it away, Shane.
From Stephen. Hey, Stephen. According to Mozilla, really it's. I mean, obviously you get the benefits of the 64-bit, so you can you can address much more memory, but there's a severe lack of plugins.
Yeah.
So I believe it's they've added the Flash NPAPI plugin, so that works. Silverlight, there might be one more. Java doesn't work.
Yeah.
And since Firefox is slowly phasing out the
NPAPI
anyway, the answer is on the downside, lack of plugins. The plus side are obviously is just it's a minus the plugins, it's a better working experience on a 64-bit machine because it is faster if you have really intensive web apps.
Yeah, there'd have to be a plugin that's really intensely needing a 64-bit.
But if you just need that benefit of 64-bit, then it's great.
Basically, if you need something that uses more than like 2 gigs of either memory or file size.
And apparently, some benchmarks it shows it rendering quite a bit faster.
Yeah.
But once again, it's just the downside of the lack of plugins. So.
All right.
And we did make the change, as you mentioned, Steve.
Yeah,
we did make the change to in the package that we provide to make sure that you can only install one or the other.
Yeah.
That's how Chrome behaves. If you install Chrome 64 on a machine that has a 32-bit, it will remove the 32-bit.
Yeah.
Firefox didn't do that, but it removed all the icons.
Yeah.
So it always went.
Just
all the icons were
program,
based off the last installed version. So.
Yeah.
For the end user, effectively, it was uninstalled. So, yeah.
This is a long one.
In PDQ Inventory, I get a lot of target computer name mismatch errors. I have flush DNS, well done, on the remote machines and scavenged DNS records on the domain controller. I'm assuming your domain controller is your DNS server then. One thing I've noticed is all the computers with this error have at one point connected to my network through VPN. That's probably the secret right there.
Yeah, right there. I think you've pinpointed it. Now, the things we have found in regards to DNS and VPN. One, depending on how your VPN's set up, sometimes it doesn't pass NetBIOS naming. Sometimes you have to go full qualified domain name. I mean, there's a lot of factors in there that could be looked at. So, I would...
Maybe if you're scavenging or something, maybe there's, I don't know, maybe there's an exclusion for... that zone or something that handles your VPN, or
if you don't set your VPN to VPN clients to register with your DNS, you're not going to get a good clean catch on that.
Yeah, so if I would look, the answer probably lies within however those addresses are assigned and how they interact with DNS when they are. You probably have DHCP, so it's how DHCP with those VPN addresses interacts with DNS. But yeah, that can be a pretty big pain. I understand. One thing I want to just mention, at least in inventory, if you do have especially a lot of roving computers in preferences in network, you might want to select the test multiple addresses in name resolution. The benefit there is if you have this is in where you have laptops that move from subnet to subnet,
wired to
building
wireless,
to building, or wired to wireless, or if you have very aggressive DHCP leases because you have more nodes than you have IP addresses, which you should fix with subnetting anyway. In those cases, you might want to do this because you could have a computer that has 2 or 3 DNS entries, and when we try to basically, if you select this, when we attempt to resolve that computer, if we can't resolve it, or if it shows as offline or
doesn't answer the ping, basically, we'll try the next one.
Yeah, we'll try the next one until we get a response. So for those environments where you have that problem, the downside to this is, it's a little bit more processing.
Yeah.
If you have a lot of computers in your PDQ inventory database, you're going to want to increase this interval anyway from 300 to 6 or 900 seconds. So anyway,
very true. Doug K., why do you not have a package created to back up PDQ deploy?
Doug K. Well,
That's a great idea.
It's also a feature that's coming, a native feature that's coming in the next major release of Deploy, to actually have the ability to back up your database. So
I'm drinking in new features. So are you. Get your glass, JJ. Raise your glass, baby.
If you notice, a lot of the packages that we offer in the package library, they're primarily meant for your target machines.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of packages really that are just addressed to the one machine,
console,
because you're not going to deploy a backup PDQ deploy to your targets. So that's, I mean, we look at the package library as something that you're going to want to do your targets, not necessarily just something that you're going to want to do to the one machine. I mean, that's also why we don't have PDQ deploy in the package library, because you're going to install it effectively on one machine, or if you have a few admins on their machines, but not everywhere. So anyway. By the way, if you do want to do it, you can install
PDQ deploy silently, yeah.
Yeah, anyway, go ahead. /s. Can PDQ Inventory deploy be used to schedule Wake-on-LAN tasks? From Stephen. Hi, Stephen. Okay, so there's not a native Wake-on-LAN task, but you can kind of get around it if you want. We've talked about the ability to, or the recommendation to create a test deployment in your environment. So let's do that. I'm going to just create.
Let's make this package called I did a dir.
No,
really, seriously.
Okay,
just run a dir as a command step on a machine. It's a nice, easy test. Doesn't really affect anything.
I did a format C drive.
I did a format C colon. Yeah, try that one.
Okay, I'm just going to create a folder called custom packages here. In custom package, I'm just going to, this part's not necessary, obviously, but I'm going to create a new package. And this one, I'm just going to create a new step, command, delete this guy. And the reason I'm doing this, to answer your question, is I'm going to show you how you can, kind of force a Wake-on-LAN if you want without actually making changes to a system. So I'm going to just run a command step that runs a dir. And I like to call this test package, notwithstanding Lex's comment.
No. I did a dir. It's so much more to the point. You know what you're testing.
We'll call this test deployment. So the cool thing about this one is it's gonna run just a dir command on your target computers. It's a great way to verify that deploy is working.
You've got connectivity and the machine's answering back.
Your authentication is working. You have administrative rights on those target computers, etc., without actually making a change. Now, you are going to, when you do this, you are going to want to go into preferences, and we're really considering making this change to allow Wake-on-LAN per deployment. But right now it's a global setting. If you want, you can go to deployments, and you see the offline settings. Now I've got use ping for offline testing. I like that because if you have a lot of offline machines at the time of deployment that you don't want to try to wake up, this just speeds up your deployments because it pings those machines before attempting the deployment. And
if they don't answer,
if they're offline, it just marks them as offline and moves on. But if you want to send a Wake-on-LAN to offline computers, this can increase your deployment time a little bit because when it sees an offline computer, it says, hey, you're offline. I'm going to send you a wake-up packet. And of course, you have to have Wake-on-LAN enabled on your target, in your environment, and for all your targets. And then it waits up to 5 minutes after sending those Wake-on-LAN packets, those magic packets. It waits up to 5 minutes before just attempting the deployment.
So use this kind of sparing if you got a lot of offline machines.
So if you want to do that, if I were to deploy this to an offline machine, it would attempt to wake it up, and that's kind of a way that you can get around it. Of course, in inventory, you can also have your scan set up. By the way, in order to do Wake-on-LAN with PDQ Deploy, you have to have inventory because the MAC address that's required is collected from inventory. So you have to have inventory in Pro or Enterprise mode to do that, just so you know. And then the corresponding computer has to be in inventory, and we have to know the proper MAC address.
MAC address, yeah.
So anyway, in inventory, you can also in your offline policy set to Wake-on-LAN and then attempt. And that you could also just schedule scans and have this attempt to wake them up. So there's a couple of ways you can do that. But we don't have a native feature to say just wake up computers on a schedule.
It's a pretty easy way to do it, though.
It's a good roundabout way. I'll get this one. How can PDQ Inventory be used to audit Windows patching? Find what updates are installed and those that are missing. Okay, first of all, this brings us up. We don't, obviously, if you look at our package library, we don't offer all the Windows updates.
Yeah. WSUS does a great job.
Yeah,
for that.
it's free. It's a very, very,
Microsoft does it well. Let them do it.
it's a very time intensive.
Yeah.
To try to collect all of those hundreds and thousands of patches, and correlate them. So can you do it? Yes, it is time intensive. You use the hotfixes, and by the way, in PDQ, Inventory 8, the next major version, we are going to be grabbing not just the OS hotfixes, but all hotfixes that are listed as a hotfix to Windows. So .NET, Microsoft Office, even a couple of vendors like Adobe, you'll be able to see those in the hotfixes table. Right now, it's just OS.
Yeah.
So the answer is how can you do it? You're going to have to create collections. Saying machines that don't have this KB and then have packages that deploy that. It's
fairly complex.
It just takes a lot of time. We recommend that you use something free, assuming you have a server license for Windows, and just use WSUS. That's kind of our recommendation.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm struggling with tablets being updated because they're not always awake and on when on the office. Sometimes I can push an update out when they happen to be online in the office. Mostly I have to rely on manually updating them. I'm looking for any tips on updating tablets and try to get them automated, the same as workstations. Ooh. So you're talking about Surface Pro. There are ways, there's a technology called WoW-LAN. It's Wake-on-LAN, similar to Wake-on-LAN. We've had reports that people are able to wake up certain types of laptops and tablets. Surface Pro, doesn't seem to be a very easy way to do that if they're on wireless.
What about if we did a heartbeat?
That's what I would recommend, definitely. So Bethany, if you've got Inventory Pro, at least Pro or Enterprise, and you have your deploy, I would do a heartbeat deployment. So you're gonna, let's say that we want to do
Adobe. Adobe's easy one,
yeah. Where's it? Was it Adobe Air?
Yeah.
Of course, you could do an auto deployment as well, but we're going to create a schedule, and on this schedule, we'll call this Adobe Air, and targets we'll link to, we have a collection in the collection library for Adobe Air under runtimes, so we'll select those that have an old version.
Old version, yep.
All right, and you could also do those that are missing if you want Air everywhere.
You link to those, okay?
Yeah, I did a link to.
That's a dynamic, okay? So that when things get updated, they no longer show up in that collection. So link to on those types.
If you choose targets, you have to specify the targets. Anyway, so the triggers is the key here. So maybe we can do something like, I want to deploy this every day, and we'll do this at 11 p.m. But also I'm going to select heartbeat. What that means is, initially it's going to try to deploy at 11 p.m. And also in the computer, in the options, I'm going to say stop deploying to computers once they succeed. So that they don't, so if I've already deployed Air to this version of Air, this package to a machine successfully, it's not going to attempt it the next time. But that trigger heartbeat, it goes off of inventory. And when a computer in inventory is also a target in your deploy. And
it goes from an offline to an online state. That's the key there. It has to go offline in inventory to online, and then a heartbeat will. And
inventory determines the online offline based off of the online based off of generally this heartbeat interval we showed you under preferences and networking. So if it sees the machine is offline and then it goes online, and it's a member of this collection, it's going to be sent to PDQ Deploy, and you're going to get that out there. So use heartbeat for these tablets, because when they come online, inventory sees that, it's going to just kick off that deployment. And once the heartbeat changes, it's within a minute. We have that look every minute. So that's probably going to take care of it for you.
Yeah.
And before I do anything else, let me...
You better delete that. Remember that time I installed Java overnight? I forgot to delete my schedule.
Yeah, I do.
Be aware, guys.
When in PDQ Inventory, select any computer, press Ctrl+Alt+D to deploy a program, and then a PDQ package prompt comes up. Why does it not already have my last deployment already selected? That would be a bug if it doesn't. So to answer your question, let's say that I'm going to go out to Bateman here. And I'm going to hit
Control-Alt-D.
Control-Alt-D. And let's say that I'm going to do the test package here. So I believe it would be it's probably a bug if it's not showing, if it's not highlighting that. So I'm going to come back into inventory and go to Carla or whatever, hit Control-Alt-D. Yep, you can see that it's expanded to test. So yeah, I believe we are intending to do that. I'll verify, but yeah, generally we would want to save that.
I'm just wondering if, what if you want to do Firefox this time to Carla?
Well, I think this was trying to just remember the last thing that they had done in case you want to do it again or something like that.
Yeah.
And that may no longer be a feature that I'm not aware of.
Well, I
in which case
hear
we've just been stumped.
in Deploy 200, there'll be this thing that reads your mind for you, automatically puts in what package you want.
We make no promises about that.
There's no promises on that?
All right. Next one.
You just said that WSUS is free. Caveat there. Can someone confirm? I thought there was a certain restrictions on what clients connected to it, and or you need certain MS licensing.
My understanding is you just need
server license.
a server license that is per. I think it's per client. Is that what it is? Or per? It's a. There's two types of licensing. For the most part, if you have a registered, if you have a registered Windows server, 2003 or higher, there's then you can run. Then you can run certain, like you can run DFS and WSUS. So don't take my word for it. I mean, it's just, you're supposed to have, I know you're supposed to have a server license, a valid server license, but,
I think as long as you have a valid server license, it's a role you can select on most servers.
Yeah. So anyway, just don't take, I don't represent Microsoft licensing.
We make no legal claims on this show.
No legal claims whatsoever. Anything is an opinion of Shane or me, right?
Yeah.
Get the lawyers in here. All right.
Hi, Bethany. How can I use deploy to uninstall a Microsoft update? Or to uninstall. Okay, so 3114717. Is that the, that was the one they had to pull back. I think that's an Office one.
I committed that one to memory.
What was that number again?
Oh, yeah.
311
311-4717. That's not the Windows 10 one, is it?
No, I think it's an Office one.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So, as I mentioned earlier, just so you know, in inventory, we don't grab, under hotfixes, we don't grab Office yet. That's in inventory 8. But, generally speaking, when you want to uninstall a KB, there's a WSUS command that you can run. So that would be, do we have one in the package library?
We did at one point. I'm not
There's
sure.
one.
There we go.
Here's an example. So I'm going to import this. It's basically WSUS /KB, and you give the number, and then your same WSUS parameters, like no restart, quiet no restart, or something like that. So let's view this package. Gonna have to have super glue in this earpiece here.
Is your earpiece too small, or what's the?
I just think it's the angle.
So we look at the we got 2 steps in this one. Look at the conditions. This is for Windows 7 and higher. So this one, Vista. So and if you're talking about Windows 7 or higher, it's a lot easier. You can see we're just running WSUS. Zoom in on that a little bit, JJ. /uninstall, and then you have /KB, and then the number. So don't have KB in the numbers. That's where the slash is. And then your parameters. So here, I remember this one. I built this one, and this one, for this particular one, I had to uninstall it twice.
Yeah.
It was weird. And then now in Vista, uninstalling is a little bit more difficult. You can see that I've got 4 files in there where it had to actually go through the packages, and not deploy packages, the Windows Update nomenclature, and uninstall those. So this should be a good template for you. But unfortunately, you can't use the hotfixes for this particular one in inventory because we don't grab Office yet. It's in inventory 8. You would have to create like a registry scanner.
You'll find the machine
find where that's stored in the registry, scan all your machines, and then you'd find those machines that have that installed, and then deploy to those targets. Has anyone figured out how to use PDQ Deploy to deploy Windows 10 upgrade tool and initiate the upgrade from a package? I don't know.
Larry G.
I've heard. I haven't tested that.
You know, I think I set up a bunch of machines for Jason and Brig to try, and I never followed up to see if they actually made it happen.
Is that something we could possibly put in the package library, or is that just?
I would be really hesitant
yeah.
because we're talking about an OS. We're talking about OS, so I probably would.
From one OS to another.
Yeah,
yes.
I would probably veto that one.
More of a blog post.
That's you're not now you're
Yeah.
now you're near the mark.
Okay.
Was this question posted on the chat? Has anybody done that?
And Lisa, was this one posted on the chat, or was this a question that you got?
If anybody's
through your
done it,
email?
pipe up.
I will say this. I will say this, Larry, just based off of what I
Unless he doesn't
understand.
remember.
Okay, what I understand. Remember, when you deploy a package to a machine, you deploy it, and we wait to hear back the return from that. So, since you're upgrading the OS, chances are it's not going to return. You might have to do some type of a command step with a start and then just no wait, a no wait flag just to kick it off,
Launch
and then it would return whether or not it kicked it off. As far as the success, we probably wouldn't be able to tell that. This is such a big deal. It would reboot. We can handle reboots in a package, and then we wait for the computer to come back on and finish the deployment. But for an OS, you'd probably not be able to get the final
There are
result.
a lot of moving parts there, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, if anybody's interested, I'd be keen to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. Do we have any more questions?
In inventory, how do you monitor the online status of a Polycom VoIP phone hosted in the cloud? Well, that's a mouthful.
We don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, we only.
There we go. Boom.
I have never used Polycom VoIP, but in inventory we only grab Windows, and particularly it's Windows XP or higher. You have to have .NET 4 or higher. So
to respond.
yeah,
to
we
the
wouldn't.
thing, so it's
We're a Windows platform. We are looking at some other platforms without making promises, like Linux or Mac, very very limited capabilities. But as far as these phones,
But that's more for inventory, right? Not necessarily.
yeah, he's saying in inventory.
Oh, in inventory.
Yeah.
Oh, I should read. Yeah, Lisa, throw out the next question.
Change subject. Yeah.
Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, we don't do that. Sorry, man. I often get an MSI error 1618. Installation already in progress. 90% of the time, there is no active installation. I have to reboot the computer, then redeploy. Is there a way to work around this? Daryl S.
Hi, Daryl. So 1618, yes, as you mentioned, that is an MSI or a Microsoft installer error code saying, I detect that there's
reboot.
another MSI, MSI exec is busy doing something else. And the way Windows is designed, MSI exec can install NWU, so they can install one thing at a time on a target. So if you try to deploy two packages to from two different consoles, two different deploy consoles to a machine, and they don't use MSI, yeah, you can install two programs simultaneously. If you're using one console, then we queue that. Hey, you got a deployment going on. So to answer your question though, it's ugly, but if you look at the do we have the alternate? We have to do this in the alternate Java. You knew exactly where I was going.
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
you?
That is an amazing package. You can learn a lot from reading that one, guys. I would just download it just to read it.
So we still recommend, and on the Java alternate, by the way, I have to say this, that you use the non-alternate for most of your deployments. You only use the alternate when you have targets that have errors with Java, installing Java. But one of the things that the alternate is meant to fix is there are times when a Java install or uninstall did not get properly cleaned up, and Windows thought that it was still running.
The technical term for that is pooched.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, at any rate, this is what we
It
do
thought it
about
was still
yeah.
running. So this is ugly. Keep in mind you can, you can kind of you can screw up another installation from another console if it's going on, but it kill previous Java install. Notice all we're doing is running a task kill. Zoom in on that, JJ.
On
Running
MSI
a
exec.
task kill on msiexec.exe. So
Again, be careful when you play with that
if you're talking, you're the only you have your console for deploy, and you're the one that deploys packages. It's a lot safer to do this because I don't have a deployment going on. If I did from PDQ Deploy, it would be queued on that target and it wouldn't run. until that package was finished.
Completed, yeah.
But in this case, to get around that, you can kill MSI exec, and then that 1618 should go away. The only other caveat to that is there's some areas in the registry that that's per package that will say, the package might come back and say, I see that there's a partially finished installation, and therefore, even though MSI exec wasn't running, I'm going to return an error code 1618, but that's fairly rare.
Yeah.
The Java 8 alternate is basically the Hail Mary pass of
Yeah, it's
Java
just,
installs.
you take the Java 8 and you deploy it out to 2,000 machines, and you come and 17 machines come back with error
had a problem,
1618 or 1603 or whatever. Then those 18 machines, you use the alternate.
And again, guys, like JJ said, the Hail Mary pass, I like to call it full contact install because we just go in and rip out things that might cause Java to think that it needs to be. All right.
What's the best way to use PDQ Deploy or Inventory to move large numbers of computers to a new OU and Active Directory? Well, Larry, we don't. The best way to do it, if you want to use that, I would recommend using Deploy, but you'd still have to script it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd have to.
PowerShell script.
Yeah, and for the most part, you would deploy that to a domain controller,
Yeah.
and you would have your scripts in there that would do that. Like in inventory, yeah, we do have an Active Directory sync, but it's still really a one-way. The Active Directory synchronization.
We just read what they're sending us.
Yeah, this is a way for you to automatically add or remove computers from as they show up or are removed from Active Directory. Under Active Directory, you can enable your synchronization. Click your auto sync, yada yada. Specify the containers that contain the computers you want in inventory, or exclude ones that you don't want. Very common is to have an include be the root of your of your Active Directory, and then have an exclude like old computers, or exclude OU for server domain controllers or something. All that does is looks at Active Directory and imports or deletes, depending. From inventory, we don't touch as far as make changes to Active Directory.
Yeah.
So you would have to script that. Still recommend that you would just use Active Directory for that.
Yeah.
That's not something that you would deploy to a target computer.
Is there an agent option for PDQ Inventory? Steve S.
Hey, Stevie.
Quick answer is no.
No, we are on the drawing board. At this time, we are looking at an optional. I have to say this: if we ever do offer an agent, it will be optional, because so many of our customers love the fact that we are agentless. So
Keeps it simple.
yeah, there are some features that we would like to implement that do require an agent. That's why we haven't implemented them. However, if we do decide to implement them, and it's on the drawing board now, if we do offer an agent, it would most likely be an enterprise or a new product altogether. But at the minimum, you would still need an enterprise. You'd need an enterprise license at a minimum. No promises, and then it would always be optional.
I like how you qualify that. No promises.
Yeah.
It's all just discussion right now. But yeah,
we've had it on the
we're looking
drawing
at it.
board
Yeah.
Any more questions?
For PDQ Inventory, is there a way to scan on heartbeat only machines that have never been scanned before? Gary M. Scan on heartbeat.
Okay, so hi Gary.
That's
There's a
kinda
way.
setting preferences.
There's a way to kind of get this. The answer is no. As far as a native feature of saying only scan machines that have never been scanned before on a schedule, because right now you can scan on a schedule, but at this point in these versions, those schedules apply to all computers.
Yeah.
However, you can use a scan age,
Yeah.
and that's a scan age.
Set in your preferences. So basically, most people set it to scan once a week. We seem to find it seems to be the best practice around
So if
here.
you look at your scan profiles, we by default, the standard scan profile, I'm going to double click on this. Under triggers, we have, you can say, run this every night at 11, and also yada yada. One of the parameters is a scan age, and we're saying when a machine hasn't been scanned in 7 days, and a computer never being scanned passes this.
Yeah.
So the way when scan age, when you initiate a scan age on any, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to come over here to computer info. This is an easy one. I'm going to create a scan age. Once you save this, any computer that hasn't been scanned in this amount of days for this scan profile, it's going to get scanned. And then computers that have never been scanned automatically pass this. So I'll say scan age 4 days for this particular scan profile. So it's going to pretty much scan all the computers.
Yeah, shrink that down. You can see the
If you move us.
thing's already queued up. Hit the close right there, man.
So now you're scanning. So a computer that's offline now, when it comes online, and we see that by we I mean inventory sees that it goes from offline to online, it's going to run that scan age because it's never been scanned before.
Qualify there.
So that's how you can do it. Do a scan age, and then as your computers come online and they've never been scanned with that profile, they'll
Should
get
get
that.
picked up. Yep. We got time for one more? One more. Okay. Hi, folks. Your products work so well that I don't currently have. Okay. I'm sorry. You got this one, Shane.
Hi, folks. Your products work so well. Thanks. That I don't currently have a valid work-related question. And just so I can contribute to the webcast, what is Lex's drink of choice?
To expand on that, I want to know why Shane's is as well.
Lex turpentine.
Okay, I got to tell you. Okay, so before I started,
bottom shelf.
hey,
Korkschlager,
easy. That may have been the case, but see, since I've been working with Shane and JJ, they just drink such good scotch. I mean, I'm always impressed. Every time they go to the liquor store, they come back with something great. Today we are drinking Ardbeg.
Yeah, it's an Ardbeg Igedal.
So you no idea what that is, man.
Ardbeg is very, very peaty. It's one of my favorite scotches. The Ardbeg 10 is probably the most popular, but they also have Corey Frecken, Igedal.
Notice I'm nodding like I know what this is. Yeah.
My favorite, my favorite's generally been the Springbank. It's a Campbelltown. It's a Scotch. Springbank 10 is great bang for the buck. I have had a bottle of Springbank 21 year. That was really good, but not worth the price difference of a Springbank 10. But if I had to now, actually, in the last year, Brooklotti 16 year is my favorite.
I just want to say this. I actually drink more at work than I do at home. Thank you, Shane.
Cheers.
Thank you, JJ.
Cheers, buddy.
Brooklotti 16 is mine. Turpentine is Lex's.
Turpentine, yes.
All right. Well, hey, you guys, thanks for submitting the questions.
Yeah.
And if you have any more, you know what? If there's questions we didn't get to, Annie, if you wouldn't mind throwing those out.
There are.
And we can see if we can answer some of those.
I'll answer some of them offline.
Yeah. And thank you guys very much.
Yeah, appreciate the involvement, guys.
Rock on.
All right, thank you guys so much for joining us today. If your question was featured, if you'll please email me at webcast@adminarsenal.com so I can hook you up with some PDQ swag. If your question wasn't featured, like the guys said, we still want to answer them. You can email support@adminarsenal.com and we can get your questions answered, and we'll see you guys next Thursday.